for the presentation of the 2024 budget into order and have roll call.
We already did it. Didn't we?
Yeah, sure.
Didn't we already do it?
Let's see. Diane's not here. Bob's not here. And Carrie's the only one that's got to sign in yet.
It's on the map anyway. It's good. It's pretty good.
2026.
Ooh, that's a long time.
Okay, so I just say,
We are working on some technical difficulties, but we have 27 present and 2 absent at this time.
okay, Jeff, we're on to the presentation of the budget.
Good evening. First things first, we will take care of the notification of this. So I have in my hand the duly sworn publisher of the Barron News Shield, Mark Bell, has notarized and signed off that this was properly noticed as the budget hearing of the Barron County Board of Supervisors for the 2024 budget. Second, Jody, thank you. We get here tonight because Jody handles all the details. She gets everything put in its proper place, and I thank her because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here tonight. So with that, we will go through our budget publication presentation, one spreadsheet at a time. The first thing that you'll see up here is the proposed budget. This is actually what was published in all of the newspapers. By state statute, we only need to publish in the Barron News Shield because that is the newspaper of record where the county seat is located, but we do publish in all of the other newspapers as a matter of informing the public. This is a very important document, and the importance is that it lays out the general fund expenditures, which is basically one of the largest funds, or it is the operating fund of the county. The most important thing is the operating fund of the county. It pays the bills for all of the other sub-funds. We see budgeted and proposed. Then at the bottom, we have the general fund, the special revenue funds all put together, our debt service, capital projects, the highway, and the waste energy fund. At the bottom, you'll see the levy. The proposed valuation of the county went up 14.21%. The tax levy is going up 3.4%. Library their debt service is going up 10.71%. Library is going down 6.25%. And overall, our operating levy is going down, our mill rate is going down 11.17%. The proposed budget drops the mill rate from from $3.93 to $3.56. The recycling special charge stays the same at $32. That's what lays out, that's what's published in the newspapers. Jody, any additional comments that you'd want to make?
Just that this does include 2 new full-time positions in the Sheriff's Department that was already approved in June of 2023, along with 3 new full-time positions in DHHS and 1 full-time position in Land Services.
And we will get to those details in just a minute. With that, we will go on to what we're calling the variance report, the year-over-year variance spreadsheet. And Jody, I'll let you handle this, please.
Sure. And this is changes, but this is mostly just things that are one-time or outliers, just regular employee costs, increases, just the norm is not included in this. So we'll run through this quickly. Shared revenue, we are expecting that is going to go up about $755,000 due to calculation rule changes. Interest on investments is expected to go up about $680,000. County forest revenue, we're decreasing that about $75,000 just based on trends over the last few years. Out-of-county prisoner revenue is up because of the increased number of inmates that we're housing from neighboring counties. That's another $136,000. School resource officer revenue is up about $105,000, and that's because we are now servicing the Chautauqua Warehouse or School District. Restorative justice at this time is not operating, and so instead of budgeting the normal $50,000 that we normally do, we're going to carry over what was budgeted, the remainder of what was budgeted for 2023 of $28,167. The medical examiner, we have set up a CT radiology line with $10,000 to save on autopsy expenses. The autopsy expenses are quite expensive and they have to be done out in the cities. This hopefully is going to save a little bit of money. County clerk, the elections line is being increased by $60,000 for 2024 because of the upcoming presidential election. Government Center and Justice Center is increasing their lines for their utilities, contractual services, and insurance. Ann Street School, we have removed that budget for utilities and such because the building is in the process of being sold. The Government Center East Wing utilities expected to increase about $134,000 because of the new aging kitchen that will be going online in January of 2024. Sheriff enforcement, the addition of those 2 new officers I had just mentioned. Sales tax increase, we are increasing that $200,000. Excess fund balance to be used is increased $393,000. Maintenance of dams. In 2023, there were some larger scale projects. We're cutting that back to about $84,000, which is a savings of about $82,000 for 2024. DHHS purchase services increase about $746,000. This is based on if you would approve those 3 new positions. And basically the increase for those purchase services is because each of these new workers will be having about 15 clients each. So there's going to be more expenses with those clients. Animal control, an increase in going to a family plan, health insurance, so increase of $24,000. Office on Aging, an increase of about $537,000. Over the last few years, they've been using ARPA monies, so they haven't been able or haven't needed to levy as much, but now those funds have been depleted, so it goes back on the levy. Debt, the state trust fund will have our first payment for the acid gas removal system. So that's increasing $414,000. And then waste to energy budget is up about $717,000 because in June, once the acid gas removal system is put into place with the air permit, hopefully we'll be able to go from burning 100 tons to 150 tons per day. This has no effect on the levy. Is there any questions?
Continuing on, we'll go into the summary tax allocation. This takes this is encompassing. This takes the budget and puts those items, both revenues and expenses that affect the tax levy. So what you see is we start off with expenditures. These are operation and maintenance costs that would be on the levy, followed by our debt service, which we've talked about is increasing due to the powering for the acid gas removal system. Tax levy for the highway fund, our contingency fund, and capital improvement. So without any revenues coming from any external sources, the levy for the county would be $37,801,370. However, that is offset by general revenue, which is generally the general revenue in the general fund, about $8 million. County sales tax, excess sales tax applied, 1/3. We split that up in thirds now. You have the application of medical costs from jail assessments, out of county prisoner revenue, substantially reduces our levy, and then general fund balance applied then gets us $15,933,836, which would give us a levy of $21,867,534. But then you need to add in the county library and the out-of-county library payments. So this is where I'm going to stop, and I'm going to respect the people that have called me both at the office and here and try one more time to explain the library levy. It is, in fact and circumstance, an equalization of aid payment. The first amount, $644,141, is what's called Act 150. About 25 years ago, the municipalities said, okay, we've had enough. We're paying 100% of the cost to run a library while people from the rural areas come in and pay nothing. The state legislature stepped in and said, we have to develop a formula that equalizes this. That was called Act 150. What that says is municipal libraries calculate a per circulation checkout cost, sum that amount, turn that into the county based upon your library card and your address. That is what the calculation is that says when you put all of the municipal libraries together, people who do not live where there is not a state certified library, you must pay $644,141 to help fund municipal libraries. That goes on for a few years, and the municipal libraries say it's still not fair because we're now getting people that come from outside of the county into our library. That's the next calculation. That is called the Act 420 money. These are dollars that are assessed against places that do not have a state certified librarian, are not running municipal library. These two amounts are outside the levy limits. They are calculated and paid, taxed. There's no separate line item if you live out in a township for this. It's part of the county tax. It's not revenue to Barron County. It's a pass-through. Comes to the county coffers. We write checks by May or June, and this money goes to municipal libraries. So that's one more time trying to explain what it is. Is not county revenue. It is a pass-through from the county to the municipal libraries. Okay. Our dollar change from last year is up $741,893. I talked about this last month. That is primarily due to the increase in the debt service and with the officers at the Sheriff's Department plus general operating costs. Have we met the new requirements of the $749,000 for the additional amount of state revenue that was on line item number 1 of the spreadsheet that Jody presented? Yes, we are putting $225,000 of the $749,741. We're putting that into 2 new officers. So we have met the requirements of not taking the money and then cutting the Sheriff's Department. So we've met that burden. So our levy goes up 3.4%. We leave fund balance at 33%. Net new construction was 1.311% versus a change in equalized valuation of 14%. I gave a whole presentation last year. I'm not going to do it again, but someday we're going to face a financial cliff. You can't have people paying double digits for existing property and not have problems generations from now having taxes. There's going to be a line that's going to cross, and when that crosses, it's going to be painful. Enough said. Now, continuing on. So we're still under the maximum levy limit by $4,445. You can see what equalized valuation has. The difference between $6.4 billion of equalized valuation and $4.5 billion equalized valuation is the subtraction amount of those cities and villages that have libraries, because the tax for Act 150 and Act 420 is calculated based on the 4.5 billion, not the 6.4. Debt service, 31 cents. County library, 15 cents. Operating, 310, gives us a mill rate at 356. We keep the recycling surcharge at $32. So that's a very quick synopsis of what that means. Jody, would you like to add anything?
Nope.
Okay. Continuing on, personnel requests. Jody, I'll let you take these. You did a pretty good job of explaining them, but go through them again.
Okay. So DHHS is requesting 3 full-time CCS, CLTS social worker 2s. Total cost for each position is just under $105,000. Of that, $10,500 is tax levy, leaving the rest funded by state and or federal funding sources of just under $95,000. Adding on to that, as I said before, with the new number of clients that are going to be coming on to our services, the purchase services will increase also. So it would be a total of 526,000. New tax levy of that is about 111,000. So total for DHHS, total cost of these positions, $841,015, with of that tax levy of about 142,464. Also requested is a lake conservation technician through the Department of Land Services. That is 100% new tax levy, so that would be 100,318. So the total for the requests is 941,000. Of that, tax levy would be 242,782. Questions?
Jim, you should speak into your mic so the people online can hear. Yes.
I'm
Yes,
new here.
technically.
On the human services there, we have the state and the federal. Which, do we know how much is state and how much is federal?
Stacy's
Stacy's shaking her
saying
head
no.
This is a requirement, CLTS, the 94,397, that's state funding. I don't know what the state and federal funding, I can tell you just briefly that I believe some of it's Medicare funding, but I don't know what amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I just was wondering.
Just for fun, Jody, let's go back one page. I just got to do this. I just cannot let this go. I got to do this. You can get mad at me later. Just so you know, we are a small microcosm of our country. The two largest professional sports teams in America would not take Barron County. If the equalized valuation at 6.4 million was an absolutely rock hard number, Jerry Jones would be giving up $4 billion. Sorry, $4 million. The Yankees are worth more than the Cowboys and the Yankees together are nearly triple the equalized valuation of Barron County. I was asked to sit on, and we're going to go on.
Okay, Pete, Supervisor Olson has a question.
Actually, go back to where you have the libraries. Yeah, right here, this is fine. So just a couple clarifications, and then I've got a question on the land use position. Just to clarify, that 644,000 and the 27,000, that's actually going back to the villages and townships where the individuals that are using the libraries reside.
No, it's not going back. It's going to the municipal libraries from the places that do not have.
Excuse me, the money's coming from those places.
Correct.
And
That
that's
is-
where you're getting some of the concern about the increases.
Correct. Once we got over 70%, that's where the concern started, especially when we went above 75%. All the librarians, everybody realizes you have to pay the 70%. So as we started to creep up was where the concern started to come in.
Okay, my second comment then is, I'm a member of the Barron City Council, and when I look at this is, okay, we're doing, by law, have to do 70%. The county is up to 77%, which means the city of Barron's footing 23% of the bill for the people in the townships, the villages, and out of county to use our library. And I have a concern about that. So there's really clearly a need for some changes to get that to 100% as far as I'm concerned, representing the city of Barron. So that's my comment, and then I got another question later.
All right. You want a question now?
Land services.
Yep.
My question on this position is, it's my understanding that this position is being driven largely by lake properties. And the question I have is it possible for the revenue to be generated, fees to be charged for work that this individual is going to do on lake properties, revenue that would offset part of this cost? Is it possible? And if it is, has the land, whatever committees recommended, have they looked at implementing a fee structure?
No. They can, but we haven't looked at implementing a fee structure.
Okay, However that needs to happen, I'd like that to be considered.
Okay.
It's obviously too late for this year, but I think moving forward, we need to look at it and deal with that. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Supervisor Cook.
We have looked at grants, and some of those grants may come in to help offset that. They're not large, I think 15, 18,000. But we're looking at various other grants to help fund that position. But keep in mind, and you've heard me say this before, 28% of our revenue comes from lake owners. So I feel that the position's
And if we have ordinances and rules out there that people don't follow because we don't enforce them, that's not a good thing either.
Continuing on, we'll look at our contingency fund. Jody, why don't you take this one too, because you did a great job of constructing this. I can make a few comments.
Okay. All right, so we're looking at just a true contingency that's not earmarked for anything in particular of $200,000. Employee payouts, retirements, resignations, looking at $100,000 for that. The 401A contribution, budgeting $50,000. Health insurance qualifying plan changes. This is if somebody goes from a single to a family, budgeting $75,000. Health insurance increases, leaving that at the 6.8% of $415,935. COLA's at 4%, $959,096. Looking at doing some wage study review things with McGrath Consulting in 2024, $10,000. Law Enforcement Week Memorial Event, $5,000. Daniels Law upgrades in the Register of Deeds office, $20,000. Wage adjustments for some position upgrades in finance and the admin department, also working with the treasurer's office, $10,000. FICA savings per resolution 2023-32, a reduction of $65,000. And then also when we have vacancies before the recruitment would start, looking at, keeping those vacancies open roughly 8 weeks, $275,000 savings for a total of just over $1.5 million.
Thank you, Jody. We'll continue on. Here is an explanation of excess fund balance. This is a very important calculation in light of the borrowings that we have. I can just run through those. So Jody starts out, we would have 44.1% of fund balance, which you technically could have. Don't want to, but you technically could have it if you reserved it. I don't believe in doing that. Just get it out in the open, and that's where we're at. So we've committed $390,000 for the acid gas removal system for the payment on some of the insurances and having a little buffer out there, which I understand, as I understand it tonight, things are going well. I don't have any issues that I'm aware of. We have the IT room upgrades at $90,000. Now, we're going to apply the $1.3 million of excess fund balance to bring it down to 33%. I showed that number in the summary tax allocation, and we've set aside $1 million for STP bridge and culvert projects, which our new highway commissioner has already applied for some of these in CHIP and CHIP D and STP ones. We use this as matching funds. The $1 million draws down anywhere from $1 million to $2 million more, because we'll use that to draw down for improvements. That gets us to a $7.9 million fund balance, which is 33%, which is the recommended amount. Also by resolution, we've said that we will have nothing less than 25% and nothing more than 33%. This is right in where we need to be from a liquidity standpoint, because fund balance is a measure of liquidity for the county to pay bills. So with that gets to the major portions of the budget. I have a couple more spreadsheets because it's always good to look over your shoulder and see where we've been. So you want to show that first spreadsheet. So I can't read this, so I got this information from Forward Analytics. And I wanted to know over the years where Barron County has come out. So what this says, this first spreadsheet is per capita. And what it says that in 2006, there were 42 other counties on a per capita basis that had a higher per capita tax rate than Barron County. In 2023, or the year that we're talking about today, That's when there are now 43 counties. If you left here, their per capita tax for county taxation would be higher than Barron County. So there's 72 counties. So 43 counties are higher per capita taxed. The next spreadsheet is going to say the same thing from mill rate. And I did this from consistency because it's not only per capita, it's your mill rate. So our 2023 mill rate, if you left here, there'd be 43 other counties where your mill rate would be higher. That's pretty significant that we've been that consistent since 2006. You should have worked with Arnold Ellison. He was thrifty, to say the least. He always wanted us in the lowest 50th percentile. And basically, that's where we've been for years. And when we borrowed the money, if I've said this, I'll never forget when we borrowed the money for the highway shop, the guy actually complained and said, "You guys do not come and talk to us very often." I said, "Yeah, we don't borrow much money." He said, "I already know that." And so that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. At the end of this meeting, I'm going to recommend that the financing of the county be approved by the county board tonight. We don't have to meet on the 14th. I have no changes. I have no recommended changes. I recommend that the budget as presented and the financing resolution be approved by the county board as a final action after the closed session.
Okay, is there anybody from the public that cares to speak? Seeing none, at 6:27, we'll close the public hearing by unanimous consent. Tell me when you're ready, Jess.
All right, so right now I'm closing out of the current public hearing, and we're going to open up the actual meeting for county board, so you're going to have to mark yourself as present again.
So we'll call the Barron County Board of Supervisors meeting for Monday, November 6th, 2023 into order, and we'll have roll call after everybody signs in.
All right, everybody should see that on their screen now.
Is that who's missing, Punky? Okay.
All right, so we have 27 present and 2 absent at this time.
Okay, public notification.
Wendy Coleman, my executive assistant, has complied with Wisconsin open meeting requirements. Meeting agendas have been posted on electronic meeting notice boards located on the first and second floor of the Government Center and the first floor of the Justice Center. Hard copy of the meeting agenda has been posted in the county clerk's office. She's verified the proper posting of the meeting. This is the Barron County Board of Supervisors budget hearing for 11/6, and this was posted on 11/1 at 11:24 a.m.
Okay, the next item will be the invocation, and you've got a lay minister here tonight, which is me, because nobody showed up, so you're stuck with me. So, Jesus, I'd just like to say that tonight grant us the wisdom so we can use the knowledge that you provided us to make the right decisions for Barron County. And please don't forget the innocent people that are over in Gaza. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You got some, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
Item number 3, special matters and announcements.
The Barron County Rifle Ranges in the town of Ireland and the town of Maple Plain will be closed beginning at 6 p.m. on Thursday, November 16th, and will reopen at 8 a.m. on Thursday, December 7th. The second special matter I have is the FICA Alternative Plan meetings will be held this Wednesday morning and then in the afternoon. This is a per diem. You will be paid for this. The chair has asked that reinforce that if you, I mean, I understand, if you understand it, great, you don't have to come. But if you don't, you need to understand it, come. You're going to be paid to be there, and we have noticed them as meetings, but no business will be conducted.
Don't they each have to sign a piece of paper, though?
Oh, yeah, they would have to, Rachel's got documents for them to sign. It'd be beneficial if you were here so you could hear what needs to be said and sign the documents, yeah.
Okay, now I saw in the notice you gave us, it was from 9 to 2:30. We don't have to be here that full day.
One's at 9 a.m., one would take about an hour, one's from 9 to 10, and one's from 2:30 to 3:30.
Okay. So this November 8th, that's this Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
So it's either you want to be here at 9 o'clock or 2:30, and it lasts an hour or less.
And there is a virtual option.
There's a virtual option, and if you can't make it, call Rachel.
You can always get the form to folks unable to.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
Is it on the calendar?
The meetings are on the calendar, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And Jeff did send out an email 10 days ago with,
Yep.
had the form and gave you the explanation of all that, so, okay. Seeing no questions, we'll go on to the next item, number 4, approve the agenda. Motion by Supervisor Gore, seconded by Supervisor Banks. Any concerns with the agenda? If not, all is in favor of approving that, vote. Almost said the wrong thing. I know. Okay, that was passed by a majority vote of 27 yes and 2 absent. Thank you. The next item, number 5, is approve the minutes of October 16th, 2023. Motion by Supervisor Patty Anderson, seconded by Supervisor Rogers. Any concerns with the minutes? Seeing none, let's vote. Again, that was passed by 27 yes and 2 absent, so thank you. Item number 6, public comment. I believe we have none. Item number 7, progress update on the highway facilities. I guess Mac isn't here, so, okay, Jody's immersed herself in this, so she knows it very well.
Yeah, kind of live and breathe it. So things are pretty quiet out at the highway facility. I know that they're trying to schedule some fire suppression testing that needs to be done. They're trying to wrap up the punch list. Things are going good, and no concerns at this point. From a financial standpoint, we're working to close out the contracts. We have about 21 contracts. So far, we have 9 completely closed out, so we're almost halfway there. We also.
Are you going into item number 8? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
All right,
I'm sliding in there.
Okay, all right. Is there any questions on the progress of the facility? I know we just had a highway finance meeting, and Mac said the same thing that Jody did, that we're down to just punch lists, and our new highway commissioner is really happy with what's happening and how Mac and Jody are handling this thing.
And
So now we're on to item number 8.
yeah, and Mike too has been really helpful because he has a degree in construction management. So, for the hard questions, we can kind of rope him in and stuff. And so he's really been able to provide a lot of guidance and has just kind of become part of the team. So I'm very thankful to have him on board. Yes, so we are almost half done in closing out the contracts. I'm working with about 5 other contractors, getting all the closing documents and things. That's going well. And as far as the financials go, looking on page 6 in your packet, expenses through October 31st are just a little over $4 million at $4,049,000. And looking at what has been spent, So we have the funding for the paving of $744,955. Then we have the $4.6 million so far. $3,664,758 has been spent, leaving funds remaining of about $1.68 million. And the total funding for the entire project is the $31,528,643. We are right now, as of today, we're about 100,000 within those funding parameters. So today we're sitting good. Any questions?
Supervisor Cook, did you have one?
I do.
Okay.
So, I didn't ask it last month. Are we going to stay within the 4.6 million allocated?
I think I've answered it every time, and I think not. I think it'll go over that. Since last month, I felt very confident we'd be under it, but this is a fluid situation, and so I will not commit. I'd say we're right on the bubble because of some issues that we just found out today, things that are going on. And it's whether things are covered by warranties and things. So it's, I can't get into all the details yet. We're gonna have another meeting on November 15th for the Finance Committee. That'll probably be our last one until next year when we talk about the paving and finishing up a few other items. The Highway Facilities Committee will, I don't think, meet any longer, but Randy, or Supervisor Cook, I'm very hopeful we are within that 4.6.
You know, you shake my confidence a little bit. Jody's things are going really well, and then today you tell me that we learned some bad news. So.
Well, but it isn't so bad that I can't say that we still may be under the 4.6.
All right. Until next month.
Until next month.
The problem is you just don't know what's still out there. You know, we haven't had change orders for a while, and then all of a sudden a few change orders come through. You know, they're not much, but it just, everything affects it, and you just don't know what's out there, so.
Supervisor Mosentein.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Cook, we will try and stay in the millions of dollars we told you to, okay? I don't think we need to discuss that every week or every month. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? All right. Thank you, everybody. We're on to item number 9, resolution, outstanding order checks to be canceled. And I believe there's a list in there, so I need a motion to approve that resolution. Nobody wants to do that, huh? No. All right. Here's your chance, Punky. All right. All right, Carol got it. All right. Motion by Supervisor Moen, seconded by Supervisor Taxtall to approve that resolution to handle the outstanding order checks to be canceled. Is there any discussion on those? Not, we'll vote.
Didn't you just have me on there? Didn't you have up on there?
In that passed, 27 yes, 2 absent, so thank you. Item number 10, now this will require a 2/3 vote, which is 20 of our supervisors to pass. This is a resolution supporting application for the 2024 grant funds from the Wisconsin Department of Justice. I believe it was $18,619. Motion by Supervisor Buchanan, seconded by Supervisor Rogers. Any questions on that resolution? Not, we'll vote. That passed 27 yes, 2 absent, so thank you. Item number 11, resolution supporting Mosaic Technologies, Inc., Wisconsin Public Service Commission Capital Project Fund Broadband Infrastructure Program Application. I believe that resolution was in the packet, and it's another effort by Mosaic to get more of Barron County's rural properties broadband access. Are those okay? Okay, we got a motion by Supervisor Moen, seconded by Supervisor Thompson, question by Supervisor Cook.
You didn't turn off your mic. Or on your mic. I got you this
She's got
time.
magical powers.
No, we're not able to make a motion. At least I'm not. I don't know anybody else, but I can't.
I'm not either.
He's just switched sides.
Okay, is Lance around? He's over here. Okay. Okay, Supervisor Langman.
You know, we've done this before, and I'd like to see us include support for all broadband providers to encompass all of the citizens of Barron County. Even in my remote area of the town of Sumner, we've had fiber to the home for 18 years now. 18. And I'm looking at towns and cities here that aren't, that don't have fiber to the home. It's kind of a shame. I don't know why.
I'm not sure either. I think I think there's other utilities, and they're certainly welcome to come to this board and ask for support, because we certainly would give it, because we need all of it. I know in the past that the big boys, the Verizons, the AT&Ts, have taken on the government money and not done what they're supposed to, and I believe our local utilities are trying to get to rural broadband. So I think it's a matter of time and money. It just, they can't, when you go into the high density areas like the city of Rice Lake, city of Barron, it's easy to get enough signed up and you can make money. When you go out and when the farms are a mile apart, it's tough to make money. But I congratulate Mosaic and any other local utility that's trying to do that for us. So.
Citizens Connected. I don't know, Auburn.
Supervisor Buchanan.
I just want to say, please vote yes. This one might finally go by my house.
He's really been begging. All right, Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, Fran, I would strongly encourage you to go to one of the citizens' meetings and discuss this with them. I've spoken to one of the board members for Citizens, and he said, we haven't got any interest in asking the county to do this. So if you were to go to there and say, why not, you might get some ground.
Supervisor Patty Anderson.
Excuse me, my voice. I've been to several of the Lakeland town meetings. I go try to make the meetings when they're not conflicting with other ones. And they talked about Mosaic not coming out there and the reason why. And so the people are concerned out there too. But there's several different companies that provide them with service. So, but they didn't know why Mosaic wouldn't come that way. And I said to call them. That was the main thing, to call them.
Oh.
Okay.
The right thing. Supervisor Langman.
This is just a follow-up to Mr. Rogers. I appreciate your concern for Citizens Connected. I am the president of the board of directors for the Citizen Telephone Company.
So I guess he's already done it.
Oh my God.
And I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Langman. Is there any further discussion? All right, let's vote. Okay, there's 27 yes and 2 absent, so that resolution carries. Thank you. Item number 12, UW campus update and HVAC repairs update from the executive committee, which, well, I guess I'm going to speak for them. At our executive committee meeting, we had Abby Fisher, who's the top person at UW Barron County and Rice Lake, and also the number 2 and number 3 person from UW Eau Claire. So the chancellor was in China, or I think he said he would be here too if he wouldn't have been. So I was really impressed with the level of support that UW Eau Claire is providing to us. There's a lot of concern out there, in case you don't know it, that the president of the UW system has closed the two-year UW Richland Center campus, which is part of Platteville. Somebody in Washington County, their two-year campus is put on virtual only, which is just the kiss of death. As is, who was the other one, Jeff? Oh, and Oshkosh with Fond du Lac's two-year campus. So those all, I've been told that they financially weren't viable. So the question I asked both of the individuals from UW Eau Claire and Abby Fisher from our local campus, is the campus at Rice Lake, is that a financial drain on UW Eau Claire, or is it an asset? And I was told it's an asset. So they are not draining the resources of Eau Claire. And from every meeting we go to and every discussion Jeff or somebody has, it's been very positive about our campus. So it is conceivable, even if they have a plan to get rid of the two-year campuses, I think we've got a chance to be viable. Another campus in Marathon County, I believe it's in Wausau, they're looking at putting $900,000 into their campus, and they're the chair of a Marathon, or that's not, yeah, it is Marathon County. Yeah, he's he's very involved in the WCA and state politics. So I do believe we have a very good chance of keeping our campus as a viable place. And as in terms of the HVAC, if the worst would happen, you got to have a saleable property, and if you can't heat it and air condition it, your product isn't too good. So does anybody have any questions of me? Okay, thank you. Item number 13, the 2022 Executive Audit Summary. Is that you, Jody?
Okay. We're going to take a look at the executive audit summary for 2022. You can find that in your packet on page 13. With the audit, we get 3 reports. We get the financial statements and required supplementary information. We get the federal and state single audit, which is our grants. And then we also have this executive audit summary that's created for the board. So we're gonna just look at this on a high level. These all will be posted on the website tomorrow morning after you guys have had a look and we've talked it through. So going to page 1 of the summary, this page is the audit findings and results, and this is the driver of all of the financial statements. And the audit opinion that we received this year was an unmodified audit opinion, which is what we get every year, and that's the highest rating that you can get. And it's very important because this is a key point in determining our bond rating, our grant eligibility. Currently, we're rated AA by Standard & Poor's, and bond companies look at this, when we're going out for borrowings, and it directly affects the determination of the interest rates that we're going to get. So it's very important. Internal controls. This is basically our checks and balances. And so we spend a lot of time working with the auditors on the internal controls of, is there more than one set of eyes on things, especially when it comes to cash. We continue to have the significant deficiency. It doesn't rise to the level of like a material weakness, but it is something that needs to be reported each year. And it's for the limited segregation of duties. And that's because we have, some offices that just don't have enough staff that we could actually comply with all of the internal controls as recommended by the generally accepted accounting principles. And so what we do is the finance department in some things, we help the departments, so we can provide those extra set of eyes. We have internal auditors. When the auditors come, they ask a lot of questions of the departments and they do some extra testing and stuff. So we try to reduce as much liability as possible. We've also been working the last few years to try and get rid of this deficiency. I don't know if we're ever going to get there because, we work with cash. And so, but we're kind of to the point of, it's now in Clifton Larson Allen's court. I've provided them with all of the assessments for each department as far as, cash handling, policies and procedures and things. And so now it's kind of up to them to assess and see if, we truly can get rid of this. Or otherwise, I guess I'd like to know specifically what departments are the problem, because maybe we can do something to reduce the liability even more. So this is kind of an ongoing thing. We've been doing it the last few years. Hopefully in 2024, we'll get close to the end.
If you get it done, Jody, you'll be a genius, because just about every county our size or municipality has the same thing, so.
Well, I'm determined, but I can't guarantee it's ever going to happen. But I mean, we've been working on this project for about 5 years, so I'm not giving up yet. So anyway, moving on. So in compliance, the auditors found that we were in compliance with all of the requirements of laws, regulations, contracts, and grants applicable to the federal and state programs. So there was no issues there. They also notated, the different reports that they file for us or assist us with. Moving on, Appendix A is the formal required communication, and this is basically the auditor's letter of just saying what their responsibilities are for the audit. And so there's several things that they have to check that then they're, communicating of the results. And so under significant audit findings, there wasn't anything. They noted no transactions where there was a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. They found that all the financial statements were recorded in the proper period. They found our accounting estimates that we have to do to be reasonable. They found the financial statement disclosures, they were all neutral, consistent, and clear. They didn't find any significant unusual transactions. There was no difficulty between the auditors and management or staff. Uncorrected misstatements, they did not find any. And ironically, the corrected misstatement in your draft, they had a misstatement from last year still listed that was incorrect. So they have provided a new draft, which I'm showing to you now, that shows that there weren't any corrected misstatements. I did. So disagreements with management, there wasn't anything like that. The significant issues discussed with management that we talk about, limited segregation of duties. Otherwise, the rest of this verbiage, I welcome you to read through. It's just, their basic spiel that they normally put in here. Appendix B, talking about the different GASB. GASB is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, and they have a lot of rules that they come out with of new ways to report things. And so December 31st of 2022, we implemented leases that we are now reporting and putting in the financial statements. There's a couple of new GASBs that are going to be coming down the pike here for 2023. We'll start working with them in December on those to get information to put those together. And then we're going to take a look. This is a very condensed balance sheet summary for all of the funds, starting with the general fund. Just a few things I wanted to point out. So you can see the cash and investments has really grown over from 2020 to 2022. And 2021 and 2022, ARPA is included in the general fund balance in the financial statements. Because we got under $10 million, it's just considered lost revenue, so we don't have as much reporting to do. We are choosing to mostly, do capital improvements with it, but because it does fall under that lost revenue category that you can do different things with it, it falls under the general fund. So you can see in 2021 and in 2022, each year, year, the cash took a jump, and that's because each year we got about $4.4 million that we have in our ARPA fund that is included in that. And corresponding with that, then, you can also see down in the fund balances, the assigned and unassigned fund balance have increased the same way. In 2021, the assigned really took a jump. That's because that was when the 3.5 million for the Housing Authority was earmarked. So that's included in the assigned, where as of the end of 2023, that second tranche, we hadn't earmarked all of that. So you're seeing a bigger jump in the unassigned here than you did in the assigned. So those are reported a little bit differently. One other thing to point out too, so in here with the unassigned, it's showing up that our fund balance is actually 55.4%. If you would take out the 3.2 million that was left over in the unassigned, that was ARPA dollars, that brings you down to the 44.1% that is notated in the 2024 budget. I took that ARPA out for the budget because I didn't want to muddy the waters as far as the fund balance goes. Any questions with that? Okay, moving on. Special revenue fund balances, nothing new here. Some of the funds we have by resolution, Health and Human Services has to have an ending balance of $750,000, child support $150,000, ADRC goes to zero. You will notice that the county sales tax continues to grow, but part of that is that we're not using 50% of the excess fund balance, which we were back in previous years. Now we're dividing it by 3. So you're going to see that increasing each year. The other thing that's new this year is the opioid settlement. We have started receiving some of those dollars, and at the end of 12/31, we were at about 227,000 that's being held in there that will be used in future years for DHHS related things that fall under those parameters.
Jody,
Yes.
Supervisor Banks has a question.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Debt service, just carrying some fund balance. This is when these debts are closed out, these funds, you know, we just kind of clean them up and move them to a different debt service fund. So we've got like about 21,000 that's sitting there. Capital project funds, no concerns here. You can see the highway facilities of where we started with the fund balance back in 2020, and now it has been completely depleted. Waste to energy. Waste to energy had a good year. Operating income of about $68,000. They did some big repairs in 2022. So it was nice to get that done and, you know, still be able to make a little bit of money at the end of the year. So no concerns there. Highway. Highway is looking a little ugly. And so we need to talk about this for a few minutes. So highway had a change in net position of a negative $798,000. And so, you know, it's looking, if you would just look at it, it looks like it's a loss, but it really wasn't, because the thing is, we had to move money from the highway fund in 2022 to cover facility expenses. And so if you look at where the highway, the change in net position, you know, was a negative 798,000. But if you add back the remainder from the fuel system that we transferred out, along with the 749,000 that was the end of the year transfer over to the highway fund, you see that the adjusted change in net position would have actually been a positive almost $96,000. So I can just tell you 2023 is going to look really ugly because of, you know, the big transfers that we're making this year, but it's just, I mean, we got to do it. So I
And
just.
because of the weather and the snowstorm.
Yes, that was another thing, you know, I mean, if you look at, you know, previous gains in the previous years, you know, the bottom line looked a lot better, but we had a really big snowstorm, ice storm in December of 2022, and so that didn't help either. So, any questions with the highway fund? Okay, then the only thing left is just long-term obligations. No concerns there. The general obligations bonds is the highway facility. General obligations notes is zero. If you remember in December, you passed the borrowing for the acid gas removal system, but we didn't actually get the proceeds until January. So that's not going that didn't hit the books till 2023. So that's why there's nothing there. Otherwise, we have our vested sick leave and vacation. That's all calculated out, and that is fully funded, which is a very good thing. So that's about all I've got. Is there questions?
Supervisor Banks?
Back to this segregation of duties, in a smaller department, and they get some money in cash, how would that be taken care of to address this issue?
Well, in most departments, what we try to do is, I know like, we'll say, take the Register of Deeds office. You know, they'll have two people, so they each share in depositing that money. And so, you know, that's kind of the way that we try to do it is, you know, with each deposit or whatever, that there's more than one set of eyes. If somebody would be on vacation or something, I can't guarantee that it's always just, you know, that there's always two people. Everything is deposited with the treasurer's office, which is a good thing. When Jeff was the finance director there, you know, back in the day, you kind of inherited there was a lot of checking accounts, you know, that each department took care of, and Jeff took care of that and got all of those closed out, which reduced the liability. And so everything goes through the treasurer's office now. So, you know, that was a big plus. Does that answer your question?
Well, you need the two sets of eyes. In the smaller departments, they aren't available, right?
Yep. I mean, I can't guarantee that they're available all the time.
Right.
One thing like the auditors will do is they'll do like random testing and, you know, just look to make sure that there's not like big fluctuations in deposits, you know, things like that. We've got a really good crew here at Barron County. I mean, I think that I feel pretty confident with where we're at. Do you have anything to add to that?
We were nicked at one time at Prairie Farm Schools too, so.
Yeah, most of the time what you see now in stealing from governments is collusion, where two people are working together. There's one person inside and one person outside. It's pretty hard with the internal control structure for one person to pull it off. The ones that the surrounding counties, I can think, I won't mention the names, but 2 counties in our area that did have embezzlements, it was collusion. There was, in one case, it was 2 people working together. In one case, it was a person actually in the treasurer's department and a person outside the treasurer's department working together. So that's my answer.
Supervisor Schradel had a question.
Yeah, Jody, is there any rough estimate what these audits cost each year?
Well, let's see. I think we budgeted like about 95,000 for 2024, but that now also includes the housing authority. Because they're a component unit of ours, and so we need to have a copy of their audit, and so now Clifton Larson Allen is taking care of that also, and we're covering the cost for that.
I got one other thing here in support, in deference of Punky, in support of Supervisor Cook. If he doesn't ask that question, I will from now on, because this thing is not going. I had a guy from my district, he's a retired carpenter, and his boss worked on a lot of high-end homes, $1 to $2 million, and he just can't understand what happened here. And so, you know, this thing is not going away, even though we kind of put it to bed here because, you know, a few months ago. So keep up the good work, Mr. Cook.
Supervisor Strickler, you may want to have a conversation with County Administrator French. He can clue you in on some items too.
Yeah, I've been invited to some open houses where the building project was 100% over budget from draft day to turnkey.
So
100%?
100% over budget from taking it off the drafting board to the day they opened the doors. I had a businessman to the east of us call me up and said, I don't want this to get out, but I don't think your 20% is so bad. I'm over 60.
Supervisor Cook?
Feel bad for them.
Yeah.
So back to this second party. When someone does pay cash, they're given a receipt, required to give a receipt, correct? And then that receipt follows the deposit so that we can, because this hits home, not that many years ago, it happened in Barron County, was two people in it together, and the receipts weren't given or tracked, but now they are, correct?
Well, at that point, they had a separate checking account. I think there were two people. I don't think they were working together.
Okay. Well, anyway,
There was a separate checking account that they were running things through. So now everything goes through the treasurer's office. There's no, checking accounts per department or anything.
But if I come in and pay with cash, I'm given a receipt, and that receipt follows the deposit.
We need to discuss that. That's not how it went down, Supervisor Cook. They were
Well,
receiving
no, forget
cash.
I said it. I don't need to go there. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Supervisor Turcott?
This could also not just be cash. I mean, if somebody's presenting a false invoice or something, is another thing you would have to track.
Yes, and it was a couple of years ago. We've kind of been going by function as far as having the auditors sign off on that. So we did accounts payable a couple of years ago. One thing, we have a strong approval process because the bills come in, they're approved by the departments, like might be a program manager and then by the department head. Jeff signs off on everything. So there's several layers of approvals for all of the bills, for all of the checks that get printed. We print the checks in the finance department. The treasurer mails the checks, so they double check with the check register of, that the names on the checks, things like that. So we've got a lot of controls on the accounts payable side.
I think it's important to point out, however, that our accounts payable process says the person who checks in, for example, make something up. If at the waste energy plant, if there's a 55-gallon barrel of oil delivered, the employee that checked that in should verify that and verify that the vendor makes sense, because that would stop what you're saying, Craig. You can't always stop it, but that should stop it at that point. If we're paying for 55 gallons of oil and it wasn't approved by an employee on the spot, we're going to go, well, why wasn't this approved? Who checked in a barrel of oil and didn't tell us and who the vendor is? So yeah, and let's face it, there are scams going on all the time. Right now, the number one thing is to whitewash a check.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, if not, we'll go on to item number 14, the County Board Supervisor election information. And Jess?
All right, I'm going to read from this, so just bear with me for a minute. Deanne had this down like a pro, but this is all new for me this year. So all 29 supervisor seats are up for election this April in 2024. Candidates can complete the campaign registration statement and declaration of candidacy now, but the first day that you can actually start circulating your nomination papers is Friday, December 1st. So typically in the past, people that have come in to fill out their paperwork with me do both at the same time. Any candidate, including current incumbents or any new candidate that is interested in running for office, is encouraged to stop in my office and we will help you complete the necessary forms similar to what we've done in the past. Please call ahead to schedule an appointment if you can, and I'll have the information ready for you once you arrive, so there's no waiting. All campaign paperwork is due on Tuesday, January 2nd, and the state allows 0 exceptions, even though it's around the holiday. So if you fail to file your paperwork before this date, you will be ineligible for ballot status, and we will extend the filing period for your specific supervisor district seat for 3 days. But like I mentioned, you would be ineligible. This has happened in the past, so we would like to avoid that. If you are not interested in running for office, you need to complete a non-candidacy form. The sooner the better, but the absolute deadline for that is Friday, December 22nd, again, right before the holiday. I do have those forms available, and those are with me tonight if you are interested in one of those. All of these forms are going to be available on our website starting next week. And this will include a list of any candidate that has filed paperwork to obtain ballot status, as well as any current supervisor who has filed non-candidacy paperwork. So just like in previous years, when you could check online to see who has filed in any certain seat and who's gained ballot status, and if anybody has filed for non-candidacy, you'll be able to see that just like you have in the past, and that should be up and running next week. Any questions? All right, like I said, if you have any questions in the upcoming weeks with all the dates I just mentioned, please give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to help.
Okay, go on to item number 15, ARPA funds. There's a sheet in there that Jody provided. Does anybody have any questions of Jody on that ARPA list? Seeing none, we'll go on to item number 16, report from the county administrator.
Item 16A, I just put the position paper in there. I have no comment. Everything's okay as far as I'm concerned. I'm working on a consolidated purchasing platform for us because we're having such a long lead time getting high-priced fixed assets. I talked this over with the executive committee, something that I'll bring forward in January or February of 2024. To get other counties are doing this. They're actually in September, October, the county board is allowing expenditures for large ticket items that we know are not going to be delivered or need to get ordered because the lead time is now up to 24 months. Talking to another county administrator, they still have plow trucks that are not ready to go that they ordered 24 months ago, should have been fitted and ready to go November 1st, still not ready to go because they cannot get all of the equipment. Interestingly enough, we got the HVAC for the new aging kitchen, but we didn't get the springs upon which they sit, so they can't be installed. So if we were to install them as they are, the engineers told us today they would shake the roof. You would not like it. So that's what we're facing in our country today, which is why 16B is something I'm going to support. With that, Jess will take over 16C and the proceeding books.
Okay, we're just bringing up the proceedings book because we had done a survey throughout the counties in Wisconsin and found that most counties no longer complete the proceeding book that you get typically at the beginning of the year. So we just asked some questions about that. Typically, those books are distributed to state, municipalities, department heads, and county board supervisors, although many of you do decline them, but that's who they're distributed to. We typically order about 100 books, and those books are currently costing $10.50 a piece, and we do anticipate those to go up significantly in the upcoming years. We found that most other counties provide this information online rather than create a physical hard copy. And we also found out during this process that many of our staff, as well as public, don't realize that typically within a week when resolutions and ordinances are passed at the county board level, they're also found then on our website. So that's something that we're gonna get out to staff for sure, and hopefully Ruth can help me get that out to the public so they understand that's out there. You don't have to come into my office to see them. And proceeding books are also found online all the way back to, some of them are the 1920s. So if you have any questions on how to utilize that or find them online, I'd be happy to help. Just give me a phone call. But that's just something that we're looking into to see if that is something we currently want to continue doing due to the cost and how much they're being utilized. And now I'll let Mr. Minch take it away.
I don't have anything else to add.
Oh, okay.
We'll continue to study it. Okay. Item number 17, appointments.
Just April May Miller, appointment to the Commission on Aging for a 3-year term. I have interviewed her, recommend her appointment.
Guess we need to make a motion. Motion by Supervisor Guselik, seconded by Supervisor Cook. Any concerns with that appointment? If not, let's vote. 27 yes and 2 absent, so that appointment is approved. Item number 18, claims, petitions, and correspondence.
I don't have any.
Okay, that's good. 19, suggestions for future agenda items.
Yes, sir, you told me to remind you of a possible meeting on December 18th at 9 a.m. based on item number 20.
Yes.
So you want me to, okay.
Yes, say it.
All right, so based on how item number 20 goes, when we leave our closed session, I'm asking you, please put on your calendar the potential Monday, December 18th, 9 a.m. for a meeting.
That's in anticipation of the negotiations that we're going to be talking about next on item number 20, continue to go well.
And I'm going to recommend a closed session, a very brief one, and we shouldn't be in closed session more than 15 minutes.
How about
tops.
5?
How about 5 is better, yep.
So we are going to go into closed session, and we'll give you an update on the current negotiations. And the reason we're doing it right now in this order is it will have an effect on our 2024 and 2025 budget.
Furthermore, I believe we could state that if this continues to go, we would not have to have a closed session on December 18th. We would just present the contract. That's what we're trying to do here, get set up to approve the contract on the 18th. Is that, you're the?
Yes,
You're
it's
true,
true.
yeah.
Just like we're all hoping that next was for the, the 18th.
December 18th, yep. It's a Monday.
Okay. You want to read that closed session?
All right. WPPA contract negotiations, proposals and contract negotiation topics. The county board may go into closed session pursuant to section 19.85 1E for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing public funds, or conducting specific public business, or whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session.
Okay, then we have a vote on that.
We need a motion.
Motion by Supervisor Olson, seconded by Supervisor Gores. Any concerns of the closed session?
That would be myself, Jody, John, and Rachel.
Okay, let's vote then, to go into closed session.
them out down.
Okay, so we're back in open session. Jeff, are you gonna take 21 then?
We have to do 21. No, there's no
No.
motions.
Okay, so we can go to the financing?
We're going to 21, yep. Okay, we're on to item number 21, review and adoption of the 2024 budget. We have a resolution in our packet. Can I get somebody to make the motion to approve that? Is that, we got there Supervisor Gores and seconded by Supervisor Wenzel. Is there any questions or concerns on the budget as was presented in the open public hearing and any other discussion after that? If not, let's vote. Is that a yes, Dale? Thank you. Okay, that passed, 27 yes, 2 absent. So that our resolution for the financing of the county for 2024 is passed. We will not be having a meeting next Tuesday.
Tuesday, correct. That meeting is canceled next Tuesday.
Is there anything else?
No, there's nothing else.
Okay. If not, then by unanimous consent, we will adjourn at 7:34. Thanks, everybody.